Welcome back to Harriet's Florida Kitchen. I'm Harriet. We're in Florida and this is my kitchen in the middle of Tampa, Florida. Now today we're going to make something that is one of my favorite recipes, and it was certainly one of my parents' favorite recipes. It's called Shrimp Harpin. Couldn't be more Florida-esque than that. They used to make it for great big dinner parties that they would have at their house, and I have mainly tripled it. It makes enough for 8 people. I've maybe made it for 18 people at the most, maybe 24. But my parents used to make it for 50 or 60 people. And I remember them filling up the sink. They would scour the sinks with Clorox, and then they would fill them up they line them with tinfoil, and then they would literally be elbow deep into this so that they could mix it up with their hands. Well, you can use a spoon. It's perfectly, for 8 people, it'll be just fine. And I'm going to take you through the steps. It couldn't be easier. You just have to use really great ingredients. So I will now begin. First, you bring the rice water to a boil. Now, it's a little tricky doing the math here because it calls for 3/4 of a cup of raw regular rice or a cup of processed rice. Well, I'm not going to use processed rice. So I'm using 3/4 cup raw. But that means, to do the math, it means that the water has to be about 1 1/4 maybe of water. So I'm just hoping that's going to be right, but I think it is. I like to use jasmine rice. So I've brought it to a boil. I'm going to bring it back to a boil, and then I'm going to turn it down to simmer. All right. I've reduced that heat for 15 minutes, and I'm cooking it for 15 minutes, the rice. And now we're going to start on the rest of the part that goes into the shrimp. I've put in 2 tablespoons of butter into this pan, and next I'm going to put in 1/4 cup of minced pepper and 1/4 cup of minced onion, and I have pre-measured a teaspoon of salt, 1/8 teaspoon of pepper, and 1/8 teaspoon of mace, which I will put in as well, and a dash of cayenne pepper. Now, by a dash of cayenne pepper, I pretty much mean I just kind of used a pinch, and that should do it. And I think I mentioned that I put it in with 2 tablespoons of butter. And now I'm going to run this around, and I'm going to saute it just for a few minutes. After 5 minutes or so, move that off the side of the stove. Okay, let's see how the rice looks. I think it's going to be pretty good. Yep, nice and dry, totally done. That's excellent, 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 excellent. All right, now we're going to put the onions and the peppers and all of those spices into the bowl. Well, it calls for putting them into the casserole, but I like to put them into a bowl, and then I move them to the casserole shortly after that. So we'll put that in. The rice. Here it goes. Okay. Next, we're going to add we've already added the spices, so we're now going to add the soup. Do 10.5 ounce can of condensed tomato soup. Obviously, you don't cook it or anything in advance. You just pour in the soup. I don't know if you want to I didn't do a low sodium or anything like that. Certainly, if you need to do that, you may. I don't think it'll affect the flavor one little bit. And then you put in a cup of heavy cream, which I've already measured it out. So once I'd measured it, I thought I'd go ahead and put it in a jar. Okay, there. That's a cup of heavy cream and 1/2 cup of sherry. There it goes. And the recipe calls for 3/4 cup of slivered blanched almonds. And you know I like to do this with 2 parts. So the first part right now is you're going to do 1/2 cup of almonds, because later you're going to use the other 1/4 cup to garnish it. So back to this, and we put the 1/2 cup, and then we're going to stir it all up. And it's one of my favorite things to make, because does that just half of that just slop off the side? I think it did. Anyway, you just mix this up. It's going to be so great. And I'm not going to put the shrimp in. Now, I will have done the shrimp. I'm going to do the shrimp separately through the miracle of editing. And then you'll see what I do with the shrimp. Just 2 secs. First, salt the water. Just a little bit. I don't know, half a teaspoon, maybe a teaspoon. Not as much as Ben and I did the time we, by mistake, put 1/4 cup into the shrimp remoulade. Try not to even look at that video. Just a little bit of salt this time. Okay, to do the shrimp, I usually put a little bit of lemon in there, and put the raw shrimp in. Now, you do not want to leave it in for very long at all. I have now put it in. Let me try this to do this in real time. It is 23 after 4. So let me see how these are going. And you keep checking them until they are not translucent anymore, but until they are a solid pink. That can even be as little as a minute. Look at this color of them. They're already getting there. Okay. And I think it's now been 40 seconds. Okay, now these were still slightly frozen when I put them in, which is really fine because it'll do it fast. But you see those are getting very pink, and they are opaque for sure. Okay, I think those are done. Now, I'm going to move them over here. I have my ice standing by. Pour them into a colander. Rinse them off as fast as you can with cold water. And I put the ice right in on top of them. Get them absolutely cooled off. Stop the cooking as fast as you can. Then I like to peel the shrimp as fast as I can. Everybody has their own ways of peeling shrimp. Mine is just not too fancy. I don't really see much in the way of veins, but if there are veins, the veins don't really bother me much, but they do bother a lot of people. So I have a deveiner someplace, and you can sort of rip the veins out, but as you can see, actually, they seem to be coming off as it is. All right, before you put them in the refrigerator, you put 3 tablespoons of oil in, a tablespoon of lemon juice. That's usually about a half of a lemon, but you know me, I'm a big one for measuring. And you squish it around. Some of this is in another bag if you're wondering why it looks a little pulpy, and then I'm gonna put them together. Now, I just want to tell you, do not make the mistake of not cooking your shrimp. While we're talking about this, I just want to say, one of my family members, who shall remain nameless, but you know who you are, tried to do a shortcut. I told her not to do this, but she did it anyway. When she peeled it, she cooked the raw shrimp in with the whole casserole, and it came out soggy and mushy. Yuck. So do what I'm telling you. It's going to work. You just barely cook the shrimp in the ice, then you drain them, you peel them. I do not peel them in advance, I peel them afterwards. But you saw that it only took 45 seconds to cook the shrimp and bring it up to opaque. So cook them, cool them off quickly, put the oil, put the lemon juice in, pop them in the fridge. Okay. Now, I don't like to put the shrimp and the ingredients all together if I'm doing it the day before, which I am doing it the day before. My dinner party's tomorrow night, and so I'm going to already cook the shrimp and peel the shrimp. And remember, I just barely have that shrimp right up to pink and opaque. Not a second more. It's got to be super tender. You're going to be baking it again, so you don't want to get it overdone. You also don't want to get it underdone. So I will assemble this tomorrow afternoon, as you will see, because I will do it on camera. And that is all we have to do to prep for tomorrow. Well, wait, not quite all we need to do. We do need to probably put this in something that would make it easier to have it in the refrigerator. So it's just about the right amount to go into this container. And all of these things you're going to put in the fridge overnight. And then tomorrow afternoon, I'm going to get them out And as it says in the recipe, pick out 8 shapely shrimp to put on the top. Okay. Oh my gosh, you can't believe how great it smells between the sherry and the cream and the almonds and the tomatoes and the shrimp. Oh, it's so good. Okay, I'm going to put this in the fridge and show you what to do tomorrow. Okay, those have been sitting in the refrigerator all night. It's the next day. My dinner party is in just an hour or so. So I'm mixing the shrimp, which has now been sitting there marinating and keeping nice and moist with the oil. Putting the shrimp into the bowl. And I've set aside, as the recipe says to do, you put out 8 shapely shrimp, set them aside. And I've also got my almonds ready to go. So I'll put it in the oven right before. So I figure at 50 minutes before I want to serve it. I'll put it in for 35 minutes at 350. Pull it out. Put the 8 shapely shrimp on top, along with sprinkling the rest of the almonds. Now remember, you put in half a cup of almonds when we started in the recipe, and now we're putting in another 1/4 cup. Now I don't know, these feel just a little juicy to me, so I am gonna. Let's see what I'm doing. Let's see. So I have taken a paper towel and I'm just kind of wiping them. I don't know. I don't want them to be too juicy is the thing. I want it to be pure, wonderful sauce. All right. So now we take the sauce and we pour it in. Yum. Oh, it's going to be so good. Okay. Okay. That all goes in there. And then we mix it all around. And then, as soon as we have it mixed, I'm going to put it into a lovely casserole dish, which is also how I'm going to serve it. Now, sometimes I serve it as a buffet, and sometimes I pass it. Sometimes I serve it onto people's plates and plate it up in the kitchen. So I think I'm going to put it in this container tonight. Okay. Just like this. Really, really great. Okay, perfect. And you sort of smash it around like that, and it is just right. Okay, I'll try to figure out how big this is, but I'm guessing it's a 2-quart container. Anyway, so wipe it off the sides. It doesn't look disgusting. And it'll go, I'm going to put it in the refrigerator till it's ready to put into the oven. Get it out a few minutes. I can talk to you, right? Get it out a few minutes in advance to make it a little closer to room temperature. And then put it in the oven. Back to you shortly. Okay, now for the taste test. Oh my gosh, this turned out perfectly, I think. These are beautiful. I did my 8 shapely shrimp, as you can see. And I put the almonds on top. And now, wonderful. You can taste the sherry. You can taste the almonds. The almonds are nice and crunchy. The shrimp are perfect. It's really important that you not overcook your shrimp before you put them in. Oh my gosh. It's also important that you not eat too big a bite, or that'll be disgusting for your house, for your other people at the table. Perfect. Strongly recommend that you do this recipe. It is the best. And plus, look how pretty. Pretty on the plate. It's really pretty with a big green salad. And you kind of don't need anything else because you've got the rice, you've got the shrimp, you've got the almonds. All these other great things, the tomato soup. And with a big salad, it's just beautiful. The pink and the green. And it's enough. And then with a fabulous dessert, which I did make this wonderful grand meringue chantilly for dessert. Oh, also to be found on Harriet's Florida Kitchen. Anyway, thank you for tuning in once again, Harriet's Florida Kitchen. And I'll just now finish my shrimp. Good night.